the roadmap, escaping the maze of madness, which is what it is, we should know what they're doing, we should expose what they're doing. But if we don't see the big picture in which that is happening, we'll never find an answer to it. The more we understand the size of the conspiracy, the more we find the answers to the conspiracy. So that's the roadmap. Hello, I've been watching the extreme end of the MAGA media responding to Trump's actions in Venezuela and boarding the tanker, the oil tanker, flying a Russian flag, and all these other things that have been going on since the turn of the year even. And the conclusion that I've seen them make is that the globalists, the globalist world order is collapsing. It's not, it's changing. A long time ago, I began to write about the structure that was being planned for the world. And it was of a world government, ultimately not elected, technocrats, bureaucrats, appointees, and that the world at the next level would be broken up into segments, which you might call hemispheres. So if you read George Orwell's 1984, that's basically the structure he's talking about, and these different areas of the world have a dominance from this country or that country, and of course there's tremendous potential for ongoing conflict, divide and rule. And so this so-called globalist world order is the creation of something that I have long called the global cult. It's a global network of secret societies with an interlocking leadership or mission control, an inner circle that's orchestrating its global policies through that network. And this cult has no borders. It's not based in China or the United States or Europe or Russia. It's global. The borders are for public consumption, not for cult operations. And so it has created the current world order, the economic order, the political order, all of it. But it's been moving along step by step towards complete and utter, total human control via a fusion of artificial intelligence with the human brain body and a digital control system which combined will be the end of the last vestige of what we call freedom. So what we're seeing now is not the end of the globalist world order, but the next stage of it. And if you have a status quo, then if that is not dismantled, if it stays in place, then what you want to replace it with can't replace it. because the status quo will prevent that. So I've been writing in the books over the decades about this sequence of controlled demolition of the status quo as was, so it can be replaced by another. Now, there's no better way to bring an end to a status quo than a war, particularly a world war. So if you look at the First World War, at the end of it, the world was a completely different place to what it was before, with borders drawn, new people in control. And then you had the period of the Great Depression, followed by the Second World War. And the world again, the status quo as was at the start of the Second World War, was no more at the end of it. So the status quo has been demolished and we move on. And that post-Second World War system has pretty much bubbled along until relatively recently. But now we're looking at the end game. The end game that was planned all along, whereby artificial intelligence takes over the human mind and the digital dystopia controls all human actions and interactions. So the current status quo has to go to allow that to happen. And that's what we're looking at. We're not looking at the end of the globalist world order. We're looking at the next stage of it. And if we don't recognize that, we can fall, and so many have, we can fall for the illusion that Donald Trump is breaking up the world order. Yes, he is, as a gopher. You only got to look at him to see that he's not making these decisions. They're being made through him. And you look at the Trump cabinet. You look at the Keir Starmer cabinet in Britain. If someone can spot a brain cell on active duty, well, be my guest. So the idea that Trump and his cabinet, this Guy Hesketh, the so-called Secretary of War, and these other people, the idea that they are making the decisions and running the show is ludicrous. Same with Starmer. Because how it works is this. You have this global cult that operates through governments, through government agencies, through corporations, through the World Health Organization, the World Trade Organization, NATO, the BRICS alliance, all these different areas of human life and political life that appear to be unconnected are actually connected. Which is why this whole idea of this left-right battle, it's just a bloody diversion. Because this cult is working through left politicians and it's working through right politicians, working through center politicians, come to that in this ridiculous bloody spectrum of politics that people talk about. So, if you look, here's an example. You've got the right, it says here, the right. in America, spearheaded by Trump. And they are using the left as an excuse to impose tyranny. It's the evil, violent left. And then you've got Starmer in Britain, who's, it says here, is of the left. And he's using the right to impose tyranny. And so it's a confidence trick, it's a mind trick. And if we go on falling for it, if we go on falling for these political belief systems and these religious belief systems, which can all be played off against each other to divide and rule, then this network will get what it wants. And when I look at the extreme end of the MAGA media, where they are basically cheering on Trump when he's taking leaders out of their country and putting them on trial, and all the other things that he's doing, they are just supporting it without question. And yet, if a so-called left leader, president, was doing the same, they'd be screaming from the rooftops, "Tyranny! Tyranny!" It's absolutely pathetic to watch. And so we have this emerging theme of hemisphere control. So suddenly, with the actions in Venezuela, you had Trump and his cabinet members and the MAGA extreme media stars saying, well, yeah, America, we're the power in this Western Hemisphere. We should be in control. We have every right to do that to Venezuela and anyone else we want. We want Greenland. We want Canada, Mexico, Cuba. And yet, as they perceive that, oh, Trump's breaking up the old world order, the globalists, what's happening is exactly the plan is unfolding to break the world up into these hemisphere groups, if you like, controlled by China or Russia, the United States, the European Union, and above that, the world unelected government imposing its will everywhere. Because while you have different kind of points of control, so you have the United States, for instance, you have China, you have Russia, Europe. When it comes to the AI digital control system, the digital IDs and the digital currencies, they're all agreed that that's the way forward. In fact, on the surface, they're saying, oh, we must beat China with AI and turning it into some kind of sporting event. So look for the common themes that they all agree on. And what they agree on, for whatever the excuses they use, is tyranny, deletion of freedom. And they also agree on the emergence of an AI digital control system. Because while they may be fighting for hemispheric control, here the same policies play out through all of them. And another thing I've been writing over the years is that this cult plays the long game. It doesn't make it up as it goes along. Okay, it will react to things that maybe it wasn't expecting, but overwhelmingly, it's following a sequence. And is it really a coincidence? Is it really that we have Elon Musk at the shoulder of Trump, and that Trump is encircled by the billionaire AI oligarchs like Musk and Thiel and Andreessen and Sam Altman, Larry Ellison, and that a member of that cabal, David Sachs, is Trump's AI crypto czar? Of course not. Is it an accident that Trump, from the moment he came to power for the second time, has been pushing, it's being pushed through him, this AI control system leading to beyond 5G into 6G, which he says is a wonderful thing. Actually, it will be in so many ways the end of freedom. People look at what it really entails. And there's 7G down the road. And so you've got this AI cabal representing the interests of this cult, still gophers, rich gophers, yes, but still gophers. And they are pushing this AI digital agenda. So is it, as I was saying, is it really a coincidence that if you go back to the 1930s, Elon Musk's grandfather, Joshua Haldeman, was operating out of Canada. And he was pushing, promoting, was a big wig within something called technocracy, Technocracy Inc., which came out of the United States, and he was pushing it in Canada. And Joshua Haldeman, as I explain in detail in my new book, The Roadmap, was a supporter of Hitler and the Nazis. And he was arrested at one point in Canada because of that, and Technocracy Inc. was targeted. So he then ups and moves in the 1950s to apartheid South Africa, because he and his missus absolutely supported apartheid. And it was there, through his daughter, that Elon Musk was born, before he came back with a lot of other people in the so-called PayPal mafia later, who were also connected to South Africa. So Technocracy Inc. produced a map, Haldeman, etc., of what they called the technate. And basically it was control of the Western Hemisphere from North America down through Central America into South America. And when you look at the map, it's very, very interesting, because at the bottom in northern South America is Venezuela. It's Colombia, which Trump is also picking fights with. It goes up through Panama and Central America into Mexico, which he's also starting to pick fights with, into the United States, up through Canada, which Trump, having never mentioned it in the election campaign, immediately started afterwards talking about wanting Canada to be a 51st state of the United States. And then at the northern end of this technate, on this map promoted by Elon Musk's grandfather, is Greenland. And also on it is Cuba, which they're now talking about targeting. So what is happening is not the end of the globalist world order. It's the next stage of it. It's destroying the current status quo. So another far more extreme and with even greater deletion of freedom can replace it. And if we don't understand that, you're going to have the people on the MAGA right cheering their own bloody demise. The idea that Donald Trump is anti-system, that he's going to drain the swamp, a swamp he's been swimming in his entire bloody life. It's not by accident that I refer to naivety as one of the major human psychological diseases. It's naivety in so many ways that got us here. And you know, when you look at what happened in Venezuela when Maduro and his wife were arrested and taken out to America, the speed with which it happened and the lack of military resistance to what happened was like, what? How could it be so easy? In, arrest, out. And currently, as I speak, that regime is still in place. It's just got a different leader at the moment, while the other guy is on trial in America. And something clearly went on that led to basically the Venezuela authorities putting their hands up, okay, take him. Otherwise, it's unexplainable, the lack of resistance, the lack of protection of the guy. Now, around the world, there will be other deals going on. We'll have this bit if we can have this bit and you have that bit. Because we're seeing this sequence unfold to literally the new world order replacing the old world order, but with the same global cult in control. And another thing that's happening is that people who would normally, you would have thought, that's what they claimed anyway at one point, were standing for freedom and were pushing back against what they saw as tyranny. That group is now being played off against itself and is going to war on itself. So what you've got is the softer, for want of a word, the softer Trump MAGA support, looking at what he's done, and actually not a million miles from here, someone predicted exactly what he would be doing when he came to power. They are looking at what he's done since he came to office the second time, and they're saying he's not doing what he said he would do in many, many areas. And he is doing endlessly all the things that he said he wouldn't do. What's going on? Well, what's going on is that it was a mind trick all along. He was just telling you what you wanted to hear so you'd vote for him. And when he got into power, he did and is doing what the cult demands of him. The cult that actually, behind the scenes, put him into power. Who was one of his biggest funders? Yeah? Mrs. Adelson, Miriam Adelson, who is a Zionist to her DNA and beyond. Who was another? Elon Musk, the technocrat, with the grandfather, with the map. And as that softer MAGA starts to drift away, the extreme MAGA, and we're seeing who they are now, is becoming more and more fascistic in cheering on Trump, imposing his fascistic regime and agenda, although it's not his, it's theirs. And so what I've been trying to get across all these years is that if you focus on the myopia, you focus on the politics and the corporate level and the world, if you like, of the scene, then while you're doing that, oh, look, it's here, this is what it is, it's politics, it's left or right. They are running the show, and they're laughing at you because they control left as they control right. And, you know, people talk about what's the solution. Well, let's think about removing the cause of the problem. And it is that humanity has been manipulated into rigid, unquestioning belief systems. And those belief systems, whether they're religious or political or whatever, are then played across each other or played off against each other. So we're so busy fighting among ourselves that we don't look up to where the real control of humanity is being orchestrated from. And it ain't Donald Trump, he's a gopher. It ain't Putin, he's a gopher. It's not the leader in China, he's a gopher. These are the pennies that have to drop. Otherwise, we'll go on following the myopia. What's Trump going to do now? Until the prison cell slams shut. And that prison cell is planned to be the fusion of artificial intelligence with the human brain. So artificial intelligence controlled by that becomes the human mind. Anyone think at that point that there will be any thought, any perception of being a dissident to the system, of questioning the system, of asking who runs the world and to what end? Anyone think that when that AI-human fusion is in place, that those thoughts will manifest? Of course not. But then that's the idea. And we need to put down the fault lines of divide and rule. I don't care what religion you have. I don't care what political ideology you have. But if you go on fighting for your belief system to prevail, then you'll fight until the prison cell door slams shut. It's time for a total re-evaluation of what this world is, who's really controlling it, and to what end. If you want to read more and watch more of my content, then go to the description under the video where you can buy my books. The latest one is The Roadmap, where you can get tickets for public events, and how you can subscribe to a fantastic video channel called Iconic, iconic.com.